let's have a look at moving and objects and then working with some primitives. So we have 3 tools up here that are very useful: move, rotate, scale. You can see that if you hover over them, they will tell you what the shortcuts are. So for move is E, and you will get these axis handles as you would expect. If I click and hold in any blank space on my screen, I am moving my cube in all 3 axes, as you can see from my positions down here. If I hover over one of the axis handles, like the green one, until it turns white, I can click and hold and lock it into that particular axis, so it'll only move that way. If you look, my object actually has these corners as well. So this green corner, if I click and hold on that, that selects 2 axes, and I can move things around that way. So it is moving on the XZ plane, but not up in the Y one at all. Or if I choose the red one there, then it will work on the ZY plane, which is very useful for locking things out and stopping things from moving around. If you want to go to your rotate tool, funny enough, I have rotate. I can free rotate around here, and it will move around the central point if I click a blank space. If I click a space inside the gizmo, I can sort of free rotate around that way. Or if I have a particular axis I want to lock it round, once again, I can hover over one until it goes white, sorry, and I am locking it only to rotate around that particular way. Really useful button up here, which is the reset transform, which will just put it all back to 0 again. And funnily enough, scale will scale this up and down. Now, I know you guys are going to want to grab one of these handles, grab the red handle and go, but it's still going up in all the directions, no matter which one of these I press. Yes, this is because of the type of object that this is. And this is one of the things that we're looking at today, which is a primitive object. Primitive because it is fairly primitive in what you can do with it. Also known as parametric because it is made up of its parameters. And the parameters of a cube that a computer needs to generate are a size in X, Y, and Z. I'm just going to reset my things back to centimeters because I prefer it. And that's what I have here. I have a size X, a size Y, and a size Z. So I can be more precise if I want to say that my object is 200 by 100 by 50. And I can be more mathematically correct this way than perhaps with the snapping and the size guiding we were talking about earlier. With my move, scale, or rotate tools selected, and as long as I am on model mode on the left-hand side, which is this big cube one here, I have access to these little object handles, and they allow me to change the size of this object a bit more organically, shall we say, than if I was going to use the mathematicals numbers here. Depending on which objects you have selected will depend on how many little of these handles you've got. So a sphere, I can select it and I can, funnily enough, increase and decrease the size of the sphere, but I can't do much else with it. Again, it works on the size of a radius. So if I choose 45, then my diameter will, of course, be 90. It is very useful sometimes to look at the attributes manager when dealing with objects, because there may be some hidden features that can be enabled in the attributes manager. So with my cone selected, I have access to 2 little orange dots, or yellowy dots. They used to be orange, now they're yellow. I can select the bottom one and I can increase and decrease the radius of the base of the cone. I can grab the top one and I can increase and decrease the height of my cone. If I look at my object manager, my attributes manager and the object tab, there is another area here that I can increase, and that's my top radius. And if I just click and drag on my little input area, so I can click and hold with my left mouse button and then I can drag my mouse up and down, I now have 3 dots that I can change. So I have the height of my truncated cone, the top radius, and the bottom radius. It's very useful for making truncated cones. I can even go to my caps tab and turn off caps, which means I can make a lampshade. Isn't that nice? So it's always useful to have a look in the attributes manager to see if there are things that you can do with your primitive objects that you may not necessarily have been aware of or are not as obvious without going into the attributes manager first. Okay, so they're primitives. There's quite a few of them. I'm not going to go through every single one. I'm going to let you guys have a chance to go away and play with that in your own time. But I've given you all of the knowledge I think you need, which is to have a look at the handles that you can use. Always make sure you're in object mode. And then have a look in the attributes manager for fun things that you can turn on and off to get different shapes without having to do too much work.
We have a couple of questions, if that's okay.
Okay.
So how do you change the length of the axis handles? Because the dots are exactly over the other kind of axis handles. So they're kind of hard,
annoying, isn't
to
it?
get to. Yes, annoying. We know.
Welcome to Cinema 4D, and for some reason our ability of putting them right where they're always in the way. It is entirely based on the angle. I'll start that again. The axis handles are always the same size. It depends how close you are to the object. So zoom in or zoom out, or dolly in or dolly out is probably the easiest way to gain access to those handles. It just so happens that the size, the arbitrary number that they chose for the size of those handles is the same that they have for the arbitrary number of the size of the cube. You can always, if you want to, go to filter in your viewport and turn off axis, which is Alt-D or Option-D on a Mac. So Option or Alt-D will turn those on and off to allow you to get to those little axis handles without the actual axis being in the way.
And another, so Paul's had a great question slash statement. He said,
Ooh.
Is there a way to scale to whole numbers, say for instance, holding down the shift key?
Ah, funnily enough, yes. And you do that by holding down the shift key.
One of my favorite shortcuts. Great suggestion.
That is, yeah. If I go for movement, you can see if I just move this up and down, it's just going at any integer, I suppose is the correct number. So I'm all over the shop with 255, 20, whatever. If I start to move and then hold shift, I can quantize that number to lock it so that it's in increments of 5. Oops. But you must press shift after you start to move because it is a tool modifier key. If I hold down shift and then move, it has nothing to modify, so it's not doing anything. So start to move and then hold shift and it will do it. And the same works for rotation and scale. Okay, next.
I think we're good to date.
Okay, cool, right. So let's have a look at changing the way or modifying our cube beyond our abilities at the moment. So file, new, let's create a cube, hooray. I'm going to introduce you to these things now, which are called deformers. They exist over here in this sort of purpley blue box, indicated by a bend deformer. Now, if I just press that, it will create a bend deformer, which, funnily enough, is the one I'm about to show you. If you're interested in others, you can click and hold on this, and you can see that there is loads to choose from. Some more useful than others, some old and decrepit and need to be retired. But they're there and they can be played with. The first one I'm going to show you, though, of course, is the bend tool. Now, I'm going to show you some other things as well very quickly about hiding cubes. I'm going to turn off my cube and I'm going to press the green tick there, and that turns off my cube. It stops Cinema 4D from generating it. It still exists in my object manager, but it's no longer here for me to interact with, look at, or change. With my bend deformer, you can see that I have two pieces of information as well as my orange box. One is a strength and one is a direction. And funnily enough, if I look in the attributes manager of my object, you can see I have a strength and an angle. So if I increase the strength of my bend, there we go, we get something that looks like the bend icon did earlier, which is the bend deformer. Huzzah. And then you can choose your angle, and the angle is which way round that it actually goes. So at 0 degrees, of course, it's going that way, and then you can go all the way 360 degrees, all the way around. Okay, perfect. So let's just delete that and start again. Now I'm going to turn my cube on. Bing. How do I associate one with the other? Because at the moment I have two completely different objects and they don't interact. To do this, select the bend deformer and click and hold with the left mouse button, and then click and drag, and you can see that I get a little box. My icon changes for my mouse and it says, here is a box, and points that way. That says I'm going to reorder my object manager. That's it. That just reorders it. Doesn't do anything. It doesn't change association. That's not the one we want. So select your bend deformer, click and hold on it, and then hover over the cube until the arrow points down. If I hover below, points to the left, hover over, points down. This says this will make this object a child of the cube and therefore makes it part of the hierarchy. The cube is still its own object and I can change things and I can do things with it. So let's do something with the cube. With my cube selected, let's change my height to 600. And you can see that I now have a very tall cube and my bend deformer is halfway down. Perfect. Now, with my bend deformer selected, I'm going to increase my strength and watch what happens. Not exactly bending, is it? The reason for this, I'm just going to stick that at 90. The reason for this is my cube is currently made up of, funnily enough, 6 faces, the way you'd expect it. But those 6 faces are only made up of 6 single segments. Cinema 4D, like most 3D applications, does not know how to bend a single flat surface. So what we need to do is increase the number of segments that make up my cube. Now, to demonstrate this a bit more, I'm going to change some settings in my viewport. I'm going to go to Display, and I'm going to choose Ground Shading in brackets Lines. The shortcut for that is N and then B. So you could press N. Don't try and move your mouse, because if you move your mouse, the shortcut thing will disappear. This is a shortcut menu. So N and then B on your keyboard, and you can see that I've got these little black lines now all around my cube. Now watch what happens. I will now select my cube, and under my segments for Y, I'm just going to simply click the up arrow once. And now I have 2. So I have 2 segments, as you can see. My line goes all the way across. If I just turn off my bend deformer with the green tick, you can see that my cube now has 2 segments up. Still only 1 across, still only 1 that way, 2 up. Funnily enough, if I press 3, huzzah, look, I have 3. Let's turn on my bend deformer and see what it does now. I now have a bend deformer that bends in 3 different segments. It's starting to look a little bit like I want it to, but nowhere near as much. So I'm going to click and drag on my top arrow and go whoop, and just make loads. And now you see I've got an awful lot of them, but I do have the ability of now moving my bend deformer around and it actually looking like the cube is bending. Let's turn off ground shading lines by going NA. And you can see that I no longer have the visible lines, which is good. And my cube looks nice and well bent there. You can choose where the bend deformer goes, because my bend deformer also has its own axes. So if I select the bend deformer and grab the green handle, I can move it up. So I can choose where the bend occurs on the object that it is deforming. Okay, it's hours of fun doing that, I'm not going to lie. There are loads of settings to do with deformers. Again, we don't have a great deal of time, but one of the biggest ones is mode. Here under the thing for under the attributes manager for the bend deformer, I can choose unlimited as well, which will continue that bend even though it is outside of the bend deformer. So this time it will continue to do the curvature, but it won't necessarily matter if it is in or outside of that bend deformer. For the moment, however, I'm just going to stick to limited. And then I'm going to turn it off. Gone. Okay, good. So I'm going to show you another deformer quickly, and that is the twist deformer. And you can see that once again, I've got a little orange dot. I've got an orange block that says it's going to twist that way. And in order to associate one with the other, I will click and drag the twist into the cube. And now I will grab my little orange dot and I will twist. And you can see my cube twists around. Perfect. This is quite a nice one, that if I want to carry on without having to twizzle all the way around, change my mode from limited to unlimited, and that twist continues all the way up, which is really nice. Which, to be honest, to have modelled any other way would have been a bit of a pain. But the one thing I really like about deformers is you can stack them. As you can see, I've got two deformers in this object, and if I just turn one on, turn my bend back on, I now have a twisted cube that bends. If I had them in a different order, I would get a very different and slightly unpleasant result, because it bends the stuff first and then twists it. So it does it in order that they have been put. So because it bends that and then tries to twist what's in the twist box, it goes a little bit nasty. So just be aware that the order in which you put these things can result in a slightly different shape. And now what I want to do, just to introduce you to something else, which is the traffic light system for visibility. I want my deformers to remain in effect. If I untick them, they stop working, but I want to hide the purple boxes. So next to my tick are these two grey dots. If I click the first one, the top one of twist, it goes green. If I click it again, it goes red. And I'm going to do the same to the bend one, and that just removes them from my viewport. It doesn't stop them being there. I can click on them and I can increase the twist still, or I can move the bend if I select them individually. But the moment I let go, they disappear again and I'm just left with my shape. So that very quickly is an introduction to primitives and deformers.